Genshin 6.2 live stream is here, and there is a lot of stuff going on in this patch, okay? They literally dropped, I think, lore nukes on us with so many different things coming up, so many hyped characters. We're getting Alice, we're getting Nicole, Venti is finally coming back, the whole Mondstadt crew is coming back, Albedo is back, Durin is back. I guess they were back in the previous patch, but whatever, we're getting new stuff going on in Genshin when it comes to lore. A lot of different things are going to be happening, and I think this next patch, 6.2, is gonna be very, very lore heavy. But let's not just get distracted by the lore, okay? Because this patch is actually pretty interesting. It almost feels like HoYoverse is trying to sugarcoat this patch, which has lots of problems fundamentally, with really good lore. They are trying to attract people to play this patch because obviously so many old characters are coming back, right? A lot of old people will be playing this patch for nostalgia, but hidden under the nostalgia, HoYoverse is definitely cooking up something that is not very good for the game. A lot of things in this patch are wrong, a lot of things in this patch are pretty good. I will not be boring you by showing you the entire video live stream because it's way too long and they absolutely spoil the entire story, right? I don't want to spoil all of that. We will be going over what's in this patch really quickly, and then I will be giving you my opinions on why I feel like this patch is basically a thorny bush decorated with roses. So it looks good on the outside, but once you touch it, oh boy, it's gonna be bleeding your hands. So apparently in this patch, we will probably be having some sort of Not Cry festival. I think that is what the live stream starts with. It's kind of like the festival we have in Leeway, but this time for Not Cry. A lot of casual stuff, a lot of casual events. If you watch the live stream, they have like a stupid amount of casual events in this patch, okay? Not that many combat events though. I know a lot of you combat people will probably be disappointed by this, but yeah, the only combat event they showed off was one, which is pretty similar to the events that we have got before, where you keep killing enemies, you keep getting different sorts of buffs, and you stack up those buffs, you just do more damage. Basically kill as many enemies as you can in the limited amount of time. We have seen this exact sort of event before, so it's nothing new to be honest. But aside from the combat events, we literally have got a shit ton of mini games, and some of them are literally repeat events of what we have got before with just reskinned versions of the domains or whatever. So I don't know, maybe they need to think a little bit more on what sort of events they can give, because they just cannot put some fresh paint on old events and just ship them every time, right? It just gets boring playing the same shit again and again. Overall, they start the live stream pretty strong, and right at the beginning they show you all the new characters that are really hyped. So they show you Alice, they show you just a glimpse of Nicole, and then they show Durin, and they show all the old Mondstadt characters. Basically they're trying to play with the nostalgia of people out here. They go ahead and spoil the whole story after that, but after that comes pretty interesting stuff, okay? Durin's kid gets revealed, and he is apparently a sub DPS when he wants, but he's also a main DPS when he wants. Sounds pretty OP to be honest, but again, it totally depends on what sort of multipliers this guy gets. But he looks like he is a better version of Malvika. He can probably work with Malvika as well, because he's gonna be buffing pyro reaction damages and pyro damage in general. So yeah, he may be really good in a Malvika team or in a mono pyro team or in just any pyro teams in general. They also say he's gonna be pretty good as a pyro DPS on himself, but we may either get a really broken character or we may just get a jack of all trades, master of none, So both of these can happen. Obviously, until the character comes out, we cannot really tell if he's gonna be really good or if he is just gonna be another mediocre support unit. But they show that he has two ultimates, and the funny thing about this is one of his ultimates is literally just a more red version of his normal ultimate. I don't know, bro. Like, you are a $1 billion company. You could not cook up two different animations for one character. Like, this sort of stuff is pretty unacceptable, right? I would have probably not paid this much attention to it if they did not explicitly mention that he has two different ultimates, right? They were hyping up this shit on the live stream, like, he's got two different ultimates based on which form he is. And then they just show the second ultimate, which is basically just a contrast and some saturation boosted version of his previous ultimate. Literally same animation, frame by frame. It's crazy, bro. How are you selling this as a different ultimate? It's basically the same thing. But you know what? Let's stop talking about Durin. He's a future character, right? We don't really have a lot of info about his kid and all that stuff. I don't want to speak about leaks. What I'm more excited about is Venti buffs. So Venti is finally getting a buff, and these buffs are actually kind of confusing to me. So first and foremost, he's going to be able to boost the damage of whatever element he absorbs in his ultimate. So yeah, he's going to be pretty good as a support unit right now, especially just for buffing the damage of other teammates. But they also change his normal attacks into animo attacks when he is absorbing enemies in his ultimate. That is a little bit confusing to me, because first of all, Venti is a support unit, right? So why are they changing his normal attacks into animo attacks? It's not like you're gonna be normal attacking with this character anyway. It's just a waste of DPS, right? So it's pretty weird why they went with that change. And also another thing, Venti will still not be able to absorb, like pull in heavy enemies in the abyss into his ultimate. So yeah, that part of him still remains useless. I don't know, I'm pretty confused about Venti buffs all in all. To be honest, he feels a little bit better than before. I mean, obviously he's a little bit better than before, but his main problems, that is not being able to pull in enemies abilities in his ultimate still remains. So I don't know how this buff is going to be helping Venti in any way. If you guys have a Venti on your account, maybe he can be a little bit useful now, but yeah, I don't know. I really have my doubts. I don't think this is going to be making him meta or making him strong in any way. But yeah, speaking of Venti buffs, a lot of the old Mondstadt characters are also being buffed in this pack. So Mona, Venti, Klee, Albedo, Fischl, Sucrose, Razor, all of these characters are going to be getting buffs. But there is a catch. Now, in order to get these buffs, first and foremost, there is an entire event that's going to be happening related to Alice, in which you have to play certain stories or certain missions for each of these individual characters to unlock their buffs. And second, these buffs only and only work if you have other Hexen Circle characters on your team. So basically all the characters that I mentioned, you're going to be needing at least 2 of these characters on your team to even trigger this buff. Maybe future characters like Alice or Varka will also have this, but as of right now only a select few monster characters are going to be having this buff, not all of them. So the buff works only when you have 2 of these Hexen Circle characters, right? Now that is a little bit of a problem, because this buff is not buffing the characters, mind you. This is just a new team up ability. So basically they are restricting your characters to only being used in Hexen Circle teams. Outside of Hexen Circle teams, these characters are basically useless. Like, they don't get their buff at all. Albedo, his buff is now his elevator thing, which enemies could literally blow some air on it and it used to just disappear from the field. That's not going to be breaking now. It's going to be staying on the field, and he's going to be able to damage boost all the other party members, right? Based on his defense. That buff will literally not work if you don't have another Hexen Circle character on your team, right? So there is a lot more restrictive team building right now, and if you don't have this Hexen Circle buff, these characters just go back to how they were before these buffs, right? So they become pretty much useless. I mean, I'm not exaggerating this when I say that the old Mondstadt characters are literally garbage in this meta. So once you remove this team up, they go straight back to being garbage. Also, one thing I really found funny was when they were talking about Venti buffs, one of the voice actors decided to explain how Venti suddenly got stronger, and they were like, Venti unlocked a certain part of his powers, and I was like, why can't Diluc do that, bro? Why can't Raiden do that? This is so cringe. I mean, if you're trying to cook up some lore, at least make it a little bit believable, like a little bit more fun, a little bit more interesting. It looks like this is something they just made up on stage. You know what? I had secret powers, but I was never telling the world that I had secret powers, so I went ahead and buffed myself. It's like Venti went through a self-training arc and suddenly became stronger. Now they did explain the Hexen Circle buffs for all of these characters, and I told you the buffs about Albedo and Venti already. I'll be telling you the buffs of other characters very shortly. So Fischl is now able to boost electro related damage, so she can boost overload damage, she can boost electro charge damage, she can boost the lunar electro reactions as well. So basically Fischl just became a stronger version of Chevruz. Now I don't know if she will be stronger or if she will be better, but yeah, she basically became Chevruz. Klee, her clunky mechanics got completely removed, so now when she is normal attacking, she's going to be automatically triggering the charge attacks as well. Every Klee player knows that her charge attacks were pretty clunky, so now yeah, that's completely gone. She just automatically triggers charge attacks. Razor became a better Raiden. I'm not even sugarcoating this, okay? He basically is going to be dealing a lot more electro damage. Physical is completely out of meta, so now suddenly he's going to be regenerating a lot of energy and doing Unga Bunga electro damage. I think someone on Twitter did a damage test between Raiden and Razor, and yeah, Razor just absolutely slaps Raiden right now. Take it as you want, Razor is now stronger than the Electro Archon himself. Now, they introduced Yahoda, finally, okay? Like, I was really excited for this character because Yahoda is just so good in the story, right? They just made this really insanely cool character in the story, in my opinion, with her humor and the way she just behaves. She's got so many emotions and stuff going on, right? She looks like a character from Zenless Zone Zero that they just put in Genshin. She just got so many expressions, and I just love this character. But oh boy, did they butcher Yahoda's kid. Okay, so first of all, Yahoda basically looks like Sonic. She runs, bro. She just runs. She runs really fast. That's about it. That is all about it. If you want to use Yahoda, you will need another Nordcry character on the team. It's impossible to use her without a Nordcry character, because unless and until you have Ascendant Gleam buff on your team, she will not be doing coordinated attacks. Yeah, she has a passive where her elemental skill will do coordinated attacks on the enemy based on whatever element the enemy, like, she absorbs, right? She's an Anemo unit, so she can absorb elements and stuff. That whole coordinated attack kit disappears if you don't have another Nordcry character on your team. And it gets worse. If you have two Nordcry characters on your team, her ultimate also does coordinated attacks. Now, removing an entire part of your kit, especially if it's something this important, like coordinated attacks, from a character's kit and locking it behind a regen-based mechanism is absolutely insane. Imagine they sold you Xingqiu and they were like, you know what, his ultimate will just be a burst of damage on the enemy, and those coordinated sword attacks will not work unless you have 3 leeway characters on your team. How stupid is that? Now, I was not really that pissed off with the not prime mechanics because I was like, okay, they are there, they're just giving subtle buffs, it's not really that big of a deal if I don't have these buffs, right? There's always a workaround. But with Yahoda, she basically becomes useless unless and until you have another not prime character on your team. And once again, she is Animo, so she's not gonna be working with characters like Nefer or Loma, so she is like very restricted. Even right now, you cannot use her with most not prime characters because Nefer, Loma, these are Dendro characters, right? They don't care about Animo. I feel like this was a huge L from HoYoverse's part, to be honest. It's basically like they are forcing you to use Yahoda on certain teams, and if you don't like those team compositions, she's basically useless. She's just gonna be Sonic running around. She's not gonna be doing anything usable. And if you're a Genshin player, you know how important coordinated attacks are, right? Missing out on 2 entire coordinated attacks is a huge deal. So they could have at least given 1 coordinated attack to her kid. Just one. I mean, even if it was a slower coordinated attack, or if it was the lower damage version of the coordinated attack, that would still be fine. I mean, at least she would be usable as a support, right? But removing both of them and locking them behind this not cry mechanism is absolutely insane. I know a lot of people have been complaining about not cry, how it's limiting characters, how it's forcing people to build only not cry teams, otherwise they just don't work. And I don't know if HoYoverse listened to any of that feedback or any of that complaint, because this is just a worse version of whatever they have done in the past. All in all, I was really excited for this character and I will probably pull for her, but yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know if I will be able to use her, because personally, up till now, I was not really a fan of most of the not cry characters. I pull for Nefer, but yeah, she does not work with Nefer, so I don't know if I can even use her with any team right now. Then they are also rerunning some old Natlan characters like Veresa, but I'm going to be completely honest with you guys, don't pull for Natlan characters right now, because first of all, they are pretty old now. The Natlan meta is completely gone, so every new event, every new abyss is gonna be favoring not cry characters, and now that we are getting Hex in Circle characters, probably all the buffs in these modes are going to be switching to Hex in Circle buffs. So yeah, Natlan characters are not gonna be that good, especially if you are a new player and if you are looking to get characters that actually add value to your account. Just avoid Natlan characters for now. Now, QOLs, quality of lives. This is funny. The quality of life changes this patch, I don't even know what to say. Like, they made changes that I think no one was asking for. You can sort characters in your roster by friendship. Which person put this in the survey? Who asked for this, okay? I want to know which guy went ahead and made a request for this feature, because I literally don't care about this. Literally, I don't think 90% of the player base is going to be caring about sorting your characters through friendship. Who is doing this? Then they increase the bounty rewards. So basically, you're getting more reputation from doing bounties. That is something good. That is something I can appreciate. You know, it's going to be easier to get up those reputation points to unlock the treasure compass and then all the gadgets and all that stuff. So it's good that they are doing that. If you guys already completed the reputation quests for all the regions, though, yeah, bro, rest in peace. You just went through the hard way. But now, in order to claim these commission rewards, you have to go to Catherine instead of the bounty NPC. You know, there used to be a different bounty NPC, right? So you can claim all of these in Catherine. I don't know if this even counts as a quality of life update. What would count as a quality of life update is if you could claim these commission rewards from the menu, not having to travel to the city every single day to claim these commission rewards. I know it's immersive. I know Genshin probably thought, you know, people going to the Adventurers Guild to claim their commission rewards is more immersive. It makes them connect to the world. But bro, we have been doing this for the past 5.5 years. Give it a rest, bro. Let me claim the options from a menu inside my adventure handbook. So I don't know. I don't think that this even counts as quality of life at this point. Then they went ahead and showed a bunch of stuff from Miliastra Wonderland, basically new skins and stuff. They only talk about it for a few minutes towards the end. I think HoYoverse also knows at this point that nobody really cares about Miliastra Wonderland. And I'm glad that they took the sign and they did not waste half of their live stream talking about Miliastra Wonderland, because this coming mode, let's be real, you know, it's basically the lack of endgame which forced Genshin to make this. And I know there is a certain amount of players that actually enjoy playing this mode, but let's be completely real. What you are doing here is creating new game modes for HoYoverse, right? For other players to enjoy. Basically, you are helping Hoyo market their game, bring in more players, and in return, you are not getting anything from them. Instead, they are charging you for cosmetics and everything. Basically, I don't know, bro. I just feel like this is pretty scummy, okay? If the players are doing something that is helping the game stay alive, that is bringing in more players, that is like making the community more engaging, more interesting, they should be compensated in some way. But HoYoverse just said, you know what, we will take undue advantage of the players here, and we'll just not pay them anything. Instead, we'll just charge them for everything they do in Million Star Wonderland. But anyways, that was the gist of the live stream. I really breezed through all of this stuff because I don't want to be wasting your time on weird things and all the small nitty-gritty that's going on in the live stream, okay? All in all, a pretty decent patch in my opinion. What is carrying this patch is basically the story. Let's be real, there is not really anything happening in this patch aside from the story. The quality of life updates are really mediocre. They added more predatory team building mechanics that restrict characters to region locked characters, and basically all of that. You cannot use your characters anymore as you liked, as you wished, all that stuff. So I'm not really a fan of this team building restrictions that they are slowly adding into the game. Every new character seems to be restricted based on what characters you can run with them, based on which region you can run them, right? So I'm not a fan of all these mechanics, but they just went ahead and added a bunch of all of that stuff. Quality of life changes were literally next to none. It's better to not even talk about them. The only good thing about this patch, honestly, is that Mondstadt characters are coming back, and Mondstadt was my favorite region in the game so far. Like, it was the first region, right? So it holds a lot of nostalgia value to me. It was really fun. I feel like the Mondstadt Archon quest and everything was also really good. So I'm happy to see that the Mondstadt characters are finally coming back, and even though the buffs are restricted to Hex and Circle teams, it's good to see that they are a little bit more playable, right? I mean, it would be great if these buffs were made directly to the character kits, but hey, at least those old characters will now be a little bit usable, even if we are having to use them with other Mondstadt characters. Very, very disappointed with Yahoda's kit because I just love their design. I don't know if I'll be able to play her. Okay, if you were a fan of Yahoda, I feel for you, bro. Like, they literally wrecked her kit. It cannot be worse than this. And the combat event just feels like a way for them to sell the new Hex and Circle buff, basically to sell Durin, basically to sell maybe the Mondstadt characters that they are doing a rerun of. Venti is getting a rerun, by the way. So yeah, it feels like a very promotional event. And the Mondstadt character buffs, let's be real, aside from Razor, the other buffs just look like they were made so that they can sell future Mondstadt characters like Alice or Varka later on, okay, when they release. Because most of these buffs that these characters got were kind of supportive buffs, like they are buffing the damage of other characters on your team, right? So we don't know if Varka is going to be DPS or Alice is going to be DPS, but giving supportive buffs to old Mondstadt characters, it feels like the intention was just that. More combat events would definitely be good. There was literally one combat event that they advertised, and all the other events were just mini games that were repeated versions of previous mini games. So I don't know. All in all, if I had to rate this patch, this would probably be a 7 out of 10 or a 6.5 out of 10 patch for me, okay? What's a good patch for me is you have good story and also a lot of good content, okay? And they don't pull off something scummy like these pay to win, I won't call it pay to win, but restricted team building tactics that they're going with, right? So I think those 2 points, not having good events and restricted team building predatory tactics that they're putting in, that kind of brings down the score for me for this patch. But the story-wise, the patch is looking really good. I think the story is going to be great. So what are your thoughts on this patch, to be honest? I feel like this patch, Genshin tried to sugarcoat their whole restrictive team building and how the Mondstadt character buffs are basically only a team up synergy buff, and how Yahoda's kit is really bad. They tried to cover up all of this by introducing some really, really hyped up characters from the story, like Alice, like Varka, Nicole. They tried to make people forget about the problems in the game by introducing these really hyped up characters. And the funny part is these characters will not even be dropping in this patch, right? Alice won't be playable in 6.2, Varka won't be playable in 6.2, Nicole won't be playable in 6.2, Columbina will also not be playable in 6.2. So basically the only new character you're getting is Durin. So they showed up so many different characters, all the characters that people have been asking for ever since the game launched, but none of those characters are playable. So it was basically a sort of distraction in this patch to distract people from the problems this patch actually brings. It was a pretty genius marketing tactic, to be honest. I know that they're playing on nostalgia of people at this point, and they're trying to nostalgia bait old players into playing the game again, but I'm not really a fan of how they're doing it, right? So let me know down in the comments what are your thoughts and opinions about this patch, and I'll see you guys in the next video.